start with a new topic, that is quantum mechanics. Here we will study about the wave functions, the starting of the quantum mechanics, what is Schrodinger equation, what are its significance, and what is radial distribution curve. So we starts with the classical mechanics. In classical mechanics, we have studied that the wave and the particles are two different phenomena or two distinct characteristics. They are separate, or a moving electron have only a wave character or a particle character. They are not mixable. They are independent. But in their experiments, Einstein and de Broglie suggested that a moving electron has dual character. It means it can behave as a wave as well as a particle. It means it has both the characters, both of the wave and the particle. For a particle, we know the energy is given by E is equal to mc square, and for a wave, we use E is equal to h nu. From these two equations, it has been found by the de Broglie that the wavelength is given by h upon p, where h is the Planck's constant and p is the momentum. This equation is known as the de Broglie equation, and we have studied it about our earlier videos. You can see that video. So this equation suggests that the moving particle has both the wave and the particle characters. Later, another scientist, that is Heisenberg, suggested that for any particle that is rotating, it means when it is behaving both as a particle as well as a wave, it is not possible to determine the position and the momentum simultaneously. It means when we define the position exactly, there is an uncertainty in momentum. And when we define momentum certainly, then there is an uncertainty in position. This theory, we have understand this theory in our earlier video, and our aim is not to concern on these theories. Our basic aim is to concern on the quantum mechanics. So we will not here study about these theories. But due to these theories, the Bohr's model has been failed, or the classical mechanics has been failed, because the electron is behaving as a particle as well as a wave. So we cannot say that the electron have continuous level. It cannot have the continuous levels. It will have discrete levels. So a new theory come into existence, that is known as the quantum mechanics or the wave mechanics. Because here the electron is concerned as an electron wave propagating in the 3 dimensions. So we cannot say that the electron will found at a certain position. We cannot give it with the certainty. We will here take the probability of finding the electron at a certain position. It means the electron may have a high probability of finding at a certain position or a low probability at another position. So there is no distinction between the wave and particles in the quantum mechanics. And here the state of the system is described by a mathematical function that we call the wave function. This wave function is denoted by this symbol, and this symbol is known as psi. This is the wave function, and it describes the state of the system. The wave function is a function of the coordinates and the time. This is coordinate that are x, y, z in the 3 directions, and this denotes the time. So psi is only the function of r and the t. E. Schrodinger derived a second order differential equation for the wave motion of the electronic wave propagating in 3 dimensions, that are x, y, z in the space. Actually, he derived the 2 differential equations. One is the time dependent, it means where there is a function of time, and another is time independent. Here we will concern only the time independent Schrodinger equation. that is this. This is d square psi upon dx square plus d square psi upon dy square plus d square psi upon dz square plus 8 pi square m upon h e minus v psi is equal to 0. Here psi is the wave function as we have given. This is the state of the system. This describes the state of the system, and the x, y, z are the three position coordinates, and m is the mass of the electron, h is the Planck's constant, E is the energy, and V is the potential energy. And this equation is the time independent Schrodinger equation. This Schrodinger equation, when we solve this equation, we get several solutions of this equation, and we get several values of the psi, out of which only a few values of psi are acceptable and valid. So those values of the psi or the wave functions are acceptable, which satisfies the following conditions. The first condition is that the psi should be single valued. It means it should have only one definite value at a particular point. The second condition is that the psi should be continuous. It means there should not be sudden changes in its value. The third condition is that the psi must be finite over the space d2 that the electron occupy. It means because there is the probability of finding the electron in that space 1. So it should be finite. It cannot be infinite. And the fourth condition is that the psi must be normalized. Why? Because the probability of finding the electron in the space must be unity. So psi must be normalized. The fifth condition is that the psi must be 0 at infinity, because there is no chances of finding the electron at infinite. So these significant values of the psi, or those values that are acceptable, are called the eigenfunctions. And for these eigenfunctions, when we solve the equation, we get significant value of the total energy of the electron, that is E. And these values are called the eigenvalues. This is the eigenvalue equation, that is H psi is equal to E psi. In this equation, this is the Hamiltonian operator. About operators we will study in our next videos. And this is psi, this is the eigenfunction, and for this we get the value of energy E, and this is called the eigenvalue. Now we comes to the significance of psi. Psi itself has no physical significance, but when we use the square of psi or psi square, it gives the probability of finding the electron in a certain area. It means psi square is used for finding the probability of the electron in a particular area. So we can say psi star d2 gives the probability of finding the electron in a small volume d2, where d2 is equal to dx into dy into dz. It means it gives the small volumes in the three coordinates. And the psi star is the complex conjugate of the psi. So psi star is always positive and the real, and it gives the probability. So when psi square's value is found very high, it means it is a atomic orbital where the electrons are usually found. And when we get the value of psi square is equal to 0, it indicates a node. So the node is a space where the probability of finding the electron is 0. So by this psi square value, we can easily indicate the probability where an electron will be found. The wave functions can be given in the terms of Cartesian coordinates. It means psi x, y, z, where x, y, z are the Cartesian coordinates or the position coordinates. Or it may be given in the terms of the polar coordinates. It means psi r, theta, phi, where r, theta and phi are the polar coordinates. Here r is a function of n and l, where n is the principal quantum number and l is the azimuthal quantum number, and it depends on the radius, and it is called the radial wave function. While theta, it is a function of L and M, where L is the azimuthal quantum number and M is the magnetic quantum number. And phi depends on M, where M is the magnetic quantum number. And both of these depends on the angles. So these are called the angular wave functions. Now we firstly see the radial probability function and the radial probability distribution curve. The radial probability function or radial wave function, we denote it by r square and l because it is a probability function. So we will take here the square. We will give here by seeing this. This is an atom and this is the nucleus, and we have to find out the probability of finding the electron in this shell. The thickness of this shell is dr, and we can calculate that the volume of this shell will be equal to 4 pi r square dr. Now, how we can calculate the probability? For this, we will multiply it with the probability function. It means r square. So, the probability of finding the electron in a small shell of thickness dr will be equal to r square nl into 4 pi r square dr. Now we see the radial probability distribution curve. What is this curve? This curve shows the distribution of the probability of the charge density of the electron around the nucleus. It means radially. It means where the probability will be maximum and where the probability will be minimum. And this curve is obtained when we plot 4 pi r square nl against the radius. When we plot, we get such type of plots. So we will see here what are these plots. Firstly, we see the curve for the 1s orbital. When we plot 4 pi r square nl against the radius, we get such type of the curve. In this curve, you can see when the radius is 0, it means around the nucleus, the probability is 0. It means electrons are not found here. And then the radius increases, the distance from the nucleus increases. This probability increases and we get a maxima. This is the maxima, and we get this maxima at a definite distance, that is 0.53 angstrom from the nucleus. And then the probability again decreases. It means here the probability is maximum and then it decreases down. And in this curve there is no node. It means there is no probability equal to 0 for the 1s orbital. Now we see the curve for the 2s orbital. In this curve you can see there are two maximas, one here and the another here. This is bigger and this is smaller because this is for the 1s orbital. It means the electron spends some of its times around the 1s orbital and the most of the time in the 2s orbital. And there is a node between these two. This is the node. It means here the probability of finding the electron is equal to 0. So in the case of 2s orbital, there is one node present. Now we see the 3s orbital curve. This is the curve for the 3s orbital. In this curve, you can see there are three maximas. These two are smaller and this is bigger one. This is for the 3s orbital and these two are for 1s and 2s orbitals. And there are two nodes present. when we see the plot of 3s orbital, there are two nodes present. It means there are 2 points where the probability of finding the electrons are 0. Now we will see the graphs for the p orbitals. These are the plots for the p orbitals. Here we can see that the graph for the 2p orbital is same that for the 1s orbital. This is because the 2p orbital is the lowest p orbital. There is no 1p orbital, and hence the graph for the 2p orbital will be similar to that for the 1s orbital. Here there is only one maxima and there is no node present. Then we comes to 3p. Here the graph is similar to that for the 2s orbital. In this graph there is one node present. Similarly, for the 4p orbital, when we plot the graph, we get the same graph that for the 3s orbital. It means the graph for the 3s and the 4p will be same. Now we see the graphs for the d orbital. This is the graph for the 3d orbital. From here we can say the graph for the 1s orbital and the 2p orbital and the 3t orbital will be same. Similarly, in this case, the graph for the 2s orbital and the 3p orbital and the 4d orbitals will be same, and for all of them we will get one node. Similarly, the graph for the 3s orbital, the 4p orbital and the 5d orbital will be same. In all the cases, we will get two nodes. Actually, there is a formula by which we can easily calculate the number of the radial nodes and the angular nodes. The number of radial nodes is given by n minus l minus 1, where n is the principal quantum number and l is the azimuthal quantum number. For example, if we take the case of 3s orbital, for 3s orbital, the n value will be 3 and for s, the l value will be 0. So, the radial nodes will be 2. Similarly, for 4d orbital, the n value is 4 and the l value for the d orbital is 2. So, the radial nodes will be 1. Now, we see the number of angular nodes is given by the l value. It means azimuthal quantum number. For example, for 2p orbital, for p orbital, the l value is equal to 1. So, number of angular nodes will be 1. Similarly, for 3d orbital, in the case of d orbital, the l value is equal to 2. So, the angular nodes will be 2. And the total number of nodes is given by the addition of the radial and the angular nodes. Here we have studied the radial wave function. Now we see the angular wave function. It depends on the value of L and M. It means azimuthal quantum number and magnetic quantum number. And it represents the atomic orbitals. As the angular wave function depends upon the angles, so the shape of the atomic orbitals also depends upon the value of the theta and the phi. Now we see how the angular wave function varies with the orbital. When L value is 0, M value is 0 and it represents the s orbital. And for s orbital, the angular wave function is under root 1 upon 4 pi. Here there is no angle present, so the s orbital does not depend upon angle and hence it is spherically symmetrical. When n value is 1 and m value is 0, it represents pz orbital. And the angular wave function for it is under root 3 upon 4 pi cos theta. And here is one angle, that is theta, and the pz orbital depends on this. When n value is 1 and m value is 1, it represents the px orbital. And the angular wave function for it is under root 3 upon 4 pi sin theta cos phi. And here both the angles are present and hence px orbital depends on both the theta and phi. When L value is 1 and M value is minus 1, it denotes the py orbital and the angular wave function for it will be under root 3 upon 4 pi sin theta cos phi, and its value also depends upon the theta and phi. The other topics on the quantum mechanics we will study in our later video. Thank you.